Welcome to this PCMA-ELITE masterclass on the house-to-flat conversion strategy, one of the most practical ways to unlock hidden value in UK property. For many active entrepreneurs, the next stage of growth is not always about finding bigger sites. Sometimes the opportunity is hidden inside a single residential property. A large Victorian terrace, an Edwardian semi-detached house, or a tired family home in the right location may not just be one dwelling. With the right planning, design, and financial strategy, it could become 2, 3, or even more self-contained flats. That is the multiplier effect. House-to-flat conversions are attractive because they use existing buildings, often in established residential locations, to create more valuable accommodation. But they are not simple. This strategy sits between refurbishment and development. It requires planning permission. It requires careful design. It requires building regulations compliance. And it requires a clear understanding of whether the final value justifies the cost and risk. This is where many entrepreneurs get stuck. They can see the opportunity, but they are not sure how to execute it. They worry about planning refusal. They worry about unexpected build costs. They worry about fire safety, sound insulation, parking, amenity space, and whether the council will support the scheme. The issue is not lack of ambition. The issue is the gap between knowledge and execution. And that gap can become very expensive if you choose the wrong property or the wrong strategy. Before we go deeper, it is important to understand the principle behind this strategy: planning gain. Planning gain is the uplift created when a property's development potential is unlocked. In this case, it is the difference between the value of a single house and the value of multiple consented flats. That uplift is not created by decoration alone. It is created by changing what the asset is allowed to become. This is why sophisticated developers do not only ask, "What is this property worth today?" They ask, "What can this property become? And what will it be worth once that potential is unlocked?" That is the mindset shift. You move from buying property as it exists to creating value through planning, design, and execution. The success of a house-to-flat conversion depends heavily on the property you choose. The ideal property usually has a generous floor area, a workable layout, good natural light, and enough external space to support the required amenities. Large Victorian or Edwardian houses can often be strong candidates because they may have wider footprints, taller ceilings, basements, loft potential, or existing rear additions. But size alone is not enough. A large house with a poor layout can still make a bad conversion. You need to assess whether the building can be divided efficiently. Can the flats meet space standards? Can each unit get enough natural light? Can you provide safe access? Can you manage bins, bikes, services, drainage, and fire separation? And most importantly, will the end value justify the cost? A professional developer does not buy the biggest house. They buy the right house. Planning is only one part of the strategy. Building regulations are equally important. For house-to-flat conversions, fire safety is a major consideration. Each flat must have safe escape routes, appropriate fire separation, fire doors, alarms, and compartmentation. Sound insulation is also critical, because once a single house becomes multiple flats, separating floors and walls need to meet acoustic standards. Energy performance must also be considered. Each new unit may require insulation upgrades, heating improvements, ventilation, and energy calculations. These requirements are not optional, and they can materially affect the cost of the project. That is why the design, planning, and cost strategy must be integrated from the start. Let us talk about the numbers. A typical house-to-flat conversion may involve buying a suitable property, securing planning permission, converting the building, and then either selling or refinancing the completed flats. The value is created by the difference between the total cost and the combined end value of the flats. For example, a property may be purchased for £350,000. The conversion and professional costs may be around £200,000. The completed flats may have a GDV of £700,000. After all costs, finance, contingency, and sales expenses, the project may create a meaningful profit. But the key is not just the GDV. GDV is not profit. A serious developer must account for acquisition costs, build costs, professional fees, planning costs, building regulations, finance, contingency, holding costs, and exit costs. Only then can you see whether the margin is strong enough. Let me give you a practical example. One of our elite partners identified a large, neglected Victorian semi-detached house in Birmingham. To most buyers, it looked like a tired residential property that needed refurbishment. But through the right development lens, it had stronger potential. The purchase price was approximately £350,000. The strategy was to convert the property into 3 high-quality self-contained flats. Our team supported the planning and design approach, focusing on layout efficiency, policy compliance, fire safety, sound insulation, and the final end value. Planning permission was secured, and the project moved through conversion. The completed GDV was approximately £700,000. After all costs, the project produced around £150,000 profit. The important point is not only the profit figure. The important point is the process. The opportunity was identified correctly, and the project was executed with a clear strategy. That is how a single residential property can be transformed into a multi-unit development opportunity. A house-to-flat conversion only works when the strategy, planning, design, compliance, cost, and end value all connect. If one part is wrong, the whole project can become difficult or unviable. That is why clarity before commitment is so important. A single house is not always just a single house. In the right location, with the right strategy, it can become a multi-unit asset with stronger income, stronger resale value, and greater development potential. If you are looking at a house-to-flat opportunity, do not start with guesswork. Join our free PCMA house-to-flat community and start learning how to check the deal before you build. Inside the community, you can start understanding the planning route, layout potential, costs, compliance risks, and exit strategy before committing capital.